Moving to the next presentation, which is by Simone Lackner from Soapbox Science, Lisbon, Portugal. She's going to share her presentation about Soapbox Science when science communication meets feminism. Soapbox is a not-for-profit public outreach initiative to promote women in science and research through public engagement. Welcome to this talk, and looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you. Do you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Thank you. Okay, I will share my screen. Can you hear me and see the screen well?
Yes, I can
okay.
see it.
Good. So thank you very much, Katan, for the nice introduction. I'm very, very honored to be invited at this wonderful conference today and to introduce Soapbox Science, our initiative to combine science communication with feminism. So Soapbox Science is bringing science to the streets and highlights the work of women in science, technology, engineering, math, and medicine. But why does it matter? Well, we know men can make great leaders, but so can women. And let's look, for example, at the current crisis. Several behavioral economists observed that at the onset of the pandemic, women leaders around the world had great success in slowing the spread of COVID-19. However, women leaders in governments are still a minority, and this gender gap in leadership and decision-making positions can be found across most industries. So this is also true for academia. In Europe, although there is on average more female than male undergraduate and graduate students, so the female are here in orange and the male students or academics are in blue, at the more advanced positions, there are relatively few female professors. And this is a disparity that is even wider when looking at all career levels in science and engineering. So this gap is especially hurtful not only to women, but society as a whole, as we face the digital revolution. We need more and more STEM professionals than ever. And women bring unique perspective to research and scientific conversations. And scientific research and innovation is more accurate when gender is considered. I present you here a series of books that I highly recommend to anyone, especially men, to read, to learn about how science got women wrong, how data bias has designed the world for men with profound effects on women's lives, and how we need to start a new way of thinking about data science and data ethics, one that is informed by intersectional feminist thought. So if we don't take decisive action now, the needs of women and minority groups will continue to be underrepresented in the new digital world. So I think we need to ask ourselves, why do women leave science? I think there was great effort done in the last 10, 15 years, or even a bit longer, to get more girls into STEM. But we still are not at any equal, we are still not equal position. And the key drivers for this leaky pipeline, that there are so few women than in the higher professional positions, are thought to be implicit bias, stereotypes, and lack of female role models. And this pattern gets further reinforced due to necessary career breaks women take for childcare. So from the famous Draw a Scientist test, originally developed by David Wade Chambers in 1983, investigating children's perceptions of scientists, we understand now that when girls don't see women as scientists, they may not see future selves as scientists. And in a study several decades ago, in 1983, boys and girls were asked to draw a scientist, and the results revealed a stunning bias. 99.4% of the drawings depicted a male scientist. So out of 5,000 drawings collected, only 28 were of female scientists, and these 28 female scientists were drawn by girls. Since then, female representation in science has substantially increased, supported by many different initiatives to promote girls and increase visibility of women in STEM. And female scientists though still often outnumbered by male peers, more frequently appear in textbooks, magazines, and TV shows aimed at children. So more than 50 years later, nearly 80 studies have been repeated with this TROA scientist paradigm, with over 20,000 students across all grade levels. And the results of all these studies were reviewed in a meta-analysis with two key findings. The first was that today, more than half of girls draw a woman when asked to draw a scientist. That is very good. But however, both boys and girls are more likely to draw a male scientist as they get older. And that is probably a phenomenon that could be explained by stereotype threats that come with and endorse stereotypes. So many studies have shown that performance is weakened when a person is consciously aware of their category, stereotype, gender. I'm a girl, I'm a boy. So for example, when women perform a task on which they are told that men perform better than women, they tend to focus on not failing on the task rather than being successful. And these observations hold also true for race, physical inability, accent, age, or sex orientation, you name the differences. So stereotypes and their threats and the lack of role models circularly perpetuate these implicit biases, which are cognitive processes that are unconscious and influence our judgments, actions, and performance. And this way, we negatively assess a person's ability and judge on the stereotype and not on the actual performance of the individual. Much research shows that implicit bias are the top reason why women receive fewer invitations to conferences, are less cited, and are awarded less funding than their male counterparts, despite equal performance. So how can we break the implicit bias loop? One answer or one initiative is Soapbox Science. As Katan already introduced, Soapbox Science is a non-profit public outreach initiative to promote women in science and their research through public engagement. And Soapbox Science was founded in the UK in 2011 by these two research biologists, Dr. Nathalie Pettorelli and Dr. Seirian Sumner. And Soapbox Science were sought as events that transform public areas into an area for public learning and scientific debate. Reaching now from Europe, initially starting in 2011 in UK, from Europe to Africa, from North to South America, as well as far as Australia, and now since 2020 also in Portugal. All events are organized by dedicated local organizing teams that volunteer to work hard to bring Soapbox Science to the city and to the public. The event format is inspired by Speaker's Corner in London's Hyde Park, an historical arena for freedom of speech and public debate. And our events take place in busy public areas such as riverside, walks, public parks, town squares, and beaches. There's no technical support or sound amplification, just simple and engaging props. So basically 12 scientists stand on their soapbox and chat with the surrounding crowds about their research, take questions, give hands-on demonstrations, and get people excited about science. Of course, now, because of the current pandemic and COVID, some of these events this year will be virtually also ours in Portugal. So the main mission, or our mission in Soapbox Science, is to give science for the masses, to promote visibility of women in science, and challenge the perception of who a scientist is. So we want to increase the visibility, provide inspiration, and role models for budding young female scientists, while improving awareness of the wealth of research that is conducted by women around the world. And we also generate a network for female scientists for mutual empowerment, and to open the discourse about the gender inequality in science. Our events feature an all-women speaker list, using an inclusive definition of women and female, welcoming applications from trans women and non-binary people. So the event impact on the public is that we bring cutting-edge research directly from the lab to the people. So with Soapbox Science, we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to interact with and be inspired by leading female scientists. So we have between 1,000 and 20,000 people attending each event over a course of 3 hours, with the majority of people not having been aware of the event before they visited. So there's a lot of advertisement in the media and also through networks, but as it's open air in public spaces, the idea is that hopefully the majority or more than half of the people encounter this situation by chance. 84% of visitors rate their experiences very enjoyable, and the majority say the event has inspired them to find out more about the science fact topic they heard about. And regarding the event impact on our speakers, all of the participants received science communication training in form of a workshop previous to the event. And we boost their personal visibility in their research community, nationally and internationally. So our speakers write blogs about their work, which are broadcasted in national newspapers or supported by different science communication platforms. And then they are featured widely in media coverage of the event. We also receive great interest from the scientific community with coverage, for example, Nature, Science, New Scientists. And past speakers tell us that due to the participation in Soapbox Science, they have been invited to join committees, lead outreach events, and write high-profile articles. So the increased visibility definitely opens opportunities. The speakers involved get a bigger network, and most of the participants report that it had a really big impact on their personal and professional development. Even for me today, I was allowed to introduce Soapbox Science. So if anyone is interested in learning more about Soapbox Science or want to start a local organizing team in your city or country, because Soapbox Science is not there yet, please get in touch with the Soapbox Science headquarters, Isla Wharton. She is the coordinator of the local organizing teams and helps to support the delivery of the Soapbox Science events globally. So you can just email isla@soapboxscience.gmail.com. And if you want to find out more about Soapbox Science and all the events that are happening this year globally, you can visit the headquarters webpage. It's soapboxscience.org. And last but not least, I want to, of course, also advertise our first event that will happen for the first time in Portugal. It will happen on the 19th of September under the slogan A Ciência é para ti, Science is for you. And I would like to introduce, of course, also the Soapbox Science Lisbon team. And would like to say thank you to Nucleo, which are supporting us to bring the science to the people. And you can read more about our event and the speakers and about the team on portaldoastronomo.org. And there you can also find the link for the registration to join us in our live stream on Zoom and YouTube. So please join us on the 19th of September. Here is our poster and with our amazing set of female scientists and speakers. And I thank you very much for the invitation to speak and your attention. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Simone. I think it's quite an interesting thing. I just have a small question. Can I ask it?
Yes, please.
How many countries is this activity running? Like, what all countries is Soapbox Science Group present?
Now, with 2020, we have now 58 different countries. So maybe I go back to the slide. I think here's the list of all the countries as you see. So, and every year it's growing. That's the map for 2020. Every year the map is growing as female scientists hear about this, this initiative. We can just directly contact Soapbox Science headquarters and say, hey, in my city there is no Soapbox Science yet, I would like to bring it. And then Isla Wharton is very helpful to guide you through how it is. And it's a lot of fun. So you find your team members. It's very simple to find other women. It would be nice to also get the men to support the cause. Yeah, I think it's a very nice growing experience for everyone involved.
I think it needs to come to India. That's quite important. And I think it's the way you are presenting it. The last two presentations have really brought science as a tool to empower women. That's the power which science has. And that's the beauty which I saw in both the presentations. Rosa, over to you.
Yeah, I just would like to make a comment. I'm working with Simone. I'm privileged to be involved. And my daughter is also an activist on this in Germany. And I had the possibility to be one of the scientists in the Soapbox Science. And it's just a indescribable event. But the thing that I want to share is not this, is that when you go to some developing countries and you raise the issue, people just look at you like, what are you talking about? I mean, is there an issue? It's in many, it's not the country per se, but in communities where people never thought about that. I had the opportunity to talk to female students, and I told them about this issue, and they would just look at me and say, but why is this important? So it's just the awareness is so, the lack of awareness is so complete, is so deep. So if you ask, for instance, you go to a few countries and you find that 90% of the science teachers are male. And you ask why, and the reason is simple. It's because female students think that science is not for them. Also because there is no, when you say, I do support women, do you really? I mean, what happens when there is a baby? What happens? Who stays and take care of the baby? Can you bring the baby to work? So there are a few things that people don't really think. It's not about being just a feminist per se. It's about raising the voice to the struggles. Some girls, not all, fortunately, not all the women and all the girls in the world have to face this struggle, but many do. So it's important that we don't overlook that and don't give it less importance, because it's the gender bias. It's, as Simone said, not only gender, it's gender. And if you combine that with disability and with the social challenges, these people, in particular, if you are female, you are completely transparent to society. So these are things that we are all responsible for. So thank you for the brilliant presentation, Simone. And sorry, I had to share this because I have been having this experience in developing countries and it hurts a lot.
That's quite true, Rosa. And I do very much link with what you are saying. Simone, there is one question, which would be the last question. There's Sutapa who wants to know, why is the name of the project Soapbox?
Oh, maybe I didn't take enough time to explain it. So it comes originally from the UK. The idea, so the two biologists who brought Soapbox Science alive originally are from the UK. And in the UK in history, there was the speaker's corner, which is like basically people would stand on a soapbox and communicate about civil rights issues. And so it's basically a shared metaphor or image of this time, and to bring women, to give women a stage to talk about their science, but also about their inequalities or their struggles or their experiences. So it's a shared image. I hope that answers the question.
And there's one more question. I'll just take one. I'll spill over one minute from the next presentation, and that can go on. Is it necessary to have the support of an institution to participate in a Soapbox Science? I'm a teacher of physics from Chile, and I would like to bring it there.
So it depends. I think it helps if you can get an association that supports you. So in our case, we have Nucleo that helps with any bureaucracy if needed, or also with advertisement, because you already have a portfolio of reaching the community. I mean, this year it's easier because it's virtually, so there's not much money involved. But for the traditional Soapbox Science events, I think you usually need to have small budget. It's not a lot, but it's a couple of €1,000, depending in which country, to set the event, which you maybe can raise from private institutions. So it depends on lots of things. I think if you get started with it, there's also a huge network. You can ask for help and all that. I would just start doing it and tell your university that you're up for that. And for sure, it's an important burning topic for them as well, because the gender inequality in science is everyone's issue, not only our personal issue.
Great. Simone, I'll have to move to the next